Dinosaurs, as we know them today, they were named in the middle of the 19th century by Richard Owen, uh, about dinosaurs and the evidence in picture form and textual form within the book that dinosaurs, as we know them today, which means the word dinosaur is Latin for large, terrible lizard, uh, actually didn't die out 65 million years ago. And when I learned this, I was amazed. In school we're taught that the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, and man did not live alongside the dinosaurs or the large, terrible lizards. Um, and it wasn't until we started digging up the bones of the large, terrible lizards that we discovered these large, what we know in our cultures, which we've got depicted on many flags, on many buildings, and they used to know them as dragons, and which would suit the descriptions of dragons and the pictures of dragons and the depictions of dragons we see all over the world. When the bones were dug up in the middle of the 19th century, that's when we discovered them, and then we started applying an evolutionary interpretation to what we were digging up, and they came up with the conclusion that, well, these creatures died out in between 60 70 million years ago. I mean, that number keeps changing, whatever. 60 to 70 million years ago, before man and humanity came on the scene, so therefore we didn't witness or observe them. But the strange thing is, as I've already said, is if we didn't observe them, then why are the depictions, drawings, why do we use them in our cultures and our flags? And they were drawing pictures of these and showing evidence that we lived alongside what we know as dinosaurs, large terrible lizards, before the middle of the 19th century. And these accounts of what we know as large terrible lizard dinosaurs, Marco Polo spoke about them. Right the way back, Alexander's army witnessed them. They were terrified. The soldiers were terrified when they came across them, and they were, all kinds of what we would clearly describe as dinosaurs. It's been demonstrated that they whether they do still now, I don't know. There could still be one or two left alive somewhere in the world, but man has lived alongside them, and man's history of man and dinosaur coexisting is bountiful in the world, and this book gives lots of those demonstrations for that. We even see just a sidetrack here. Now, this book, when I received it, there's the front. I'm not sure whether it's a valuable book anymore, because obviously, sometimes if there's a misprint in a book, then it can become more valuable than others. So anyway, when I first got this book, I opened it up, and to discover, I used the book holder, that the back was at the front of the book, but not only that, the back was upside down. So basically, what I have to do is turn it over, and then we get the back of the book upside down, and we open it, and we should, unless it's changed overnight, there we go, look at this. So there you go, just a little addition there, just right, okay. There we go, the introduction. As you can see now, I'm using this book, and it's easy to use on this book stand. Easy to use. So let me see. There is one, basically the book gives you lots of, we have here. Dinosaur T-Rex flesh being taken, blood cells, oxidized, whatever, taken from the fossil of a large terrible lizard dinosaur. And when the scientists who discovered this pulled this out of the bone, it was still tissue hadn't actually fossilised, the outer part had fossilised. When they pulled out, they were absolutely stunned and couldn't believe that dinosaur flesh, tissue, blood, cells could survive 60 to 70 million years. Well, they can't. It's impossible. So what they started to say, oh, well, look at this. There must be some special conditions to be able to enable dinosaur soft tissue to last 60 to 70 million years. No. They didn't question their worldview and their ages. They tried to fit the evidence into their a priori preconceived template of evolution. But no, we all know flesh, soft tissue, DNA, cells, it's not going to last 60 to 70 million years ago. And obviously, this Tyrannosaurus rex fossil didn't die 60 to 70 million years ago. Obviously, in order for this to stay as it is, it clearly would have died thousands, probably, I would say maybe 4 to 4,500, anything from 4,500 years ago downwards towards our present date. So that's one of them in there, and it gives all kinds of different ones. Some more depictions. So on, let me see. And we have the dinosaurs where they've been found in America. The Mayans have got the petroglyphs in the Mayans, and then again Mexico. They've got them. There's one there, which is a depiction. I think that's a carving. On a jug, and then we see. We got the dates. This was 900 AD. 900 AD. So how did they know what a I can't even pronounce the word, protoceratops looked like in 900 AD, unless they'd seen them on the jug. Okay. There's what we have, more clay objects, and there we have the similar things. There we go, more pottery or whatever it is. There we go, on cloth. You can see it there. What date was this? Let's see. 900 AD to 1470 AD. I'm sorry, well, this was just, a long time before we started digging up dinosaur bones. And notice something? They were actually depicted complete with the flesh on, even to the basic colours. I mean, so they didn't just dig up bones, as some have claimed, and then put them together. They got them precisely right, and there's just no way they would have. Here's one, UK. Now, they have them on cathedrals. Let's see which one this is now. We have here London, River Thames. Many of the cathedrals, exquisite depictions. 15th century dragons in conjunction with a human figure. Dragons in medieval cathedrals. Depiction of dinosaurs. This one's Carlisle Cathedral. Now this is where, hopefully, soon we'll come across Bishop bells. So there they are there. You see them? They're 15th century. Come on. Okay, there's more. St Andrew's Hall. Juvenile theropod. There we go. That's what a juvenile theropod would look like. And we have here the carving on St Andrew's Hall in the UK. So if you live anywhere near these places, then take a visit, and I'm sure you'll be right. Okay, this is Carlisle Cathedral, obviously Carlisle. There's a Bishop Richard Bell buried in the floor of the cathedral in 1496. It's the 15th century. Okay, that's what, 500 years ago. Didn't start digging up dinosaur bones, large terrible lizard bones, until middle of the 19th century. Okay. Now he's laid in the ground. This is his tomb in the ground with brass plaque, brass surroundings, which you can see here. And basically what they would do is put depictions around the tomb in the brass carvings of animals and things that they would have witnessed at the time of through their life. And we see fish, we see some kind of bird here, we see, is that a dog? We see a bat. Okay, there's the plot, and here we see clearly what looks like, what is the neck coming all the way down? A dinosaur. What is it? They actually, let's see, figure 73 shows a digital reconstruction once those dots are connected and worn. Oh, right, okay, let's see. So, and again here we see it up there, and look at the tail of this creature, sharp points. So these are clearly dinosaurs of some sort locked in battle. Look at their heads, you can see it. And again here, creatures. And what kind of creature had these on their tail? A Shunnosaurus tail reconstruction. So this would have been the one on, probably the one on the left. I see. It looks to me like this one on the right is something else. But it says here Shunnosaurus. And we come over here, larger, and the one on the right, Volcanodon reconstruction. So placed in the brass carvings of a tomb in Carlisle Cathedral 500 years ago. How did they know about dinosaurs? Unless, of course, they saw them and witnessed them, and they were just normal, everyday, obviously scary, and they would have been killed off because they became pests. Like, as when we start encroaching upon more land to use, we come into contact with wild animals. And Wales, in Wales you got the Welsh flag. I mean, look at the Welsh flag. Yeah. Dragon, large terrible lizard. Look, remember, not penned until 1850s, middle of the 19th century. St David's Cathedral. Here we go. You know, like, we got them in Netherlands. We've got them in. Look at them. There's one. Killing. Look at the depiction. 1440 AD. France, the same. Canada. I mean, there is not just one or two. They are all over the world, and this is only touching the surface. Look at this one. Look at that. It's astounding. I get excited when I look at this because, you know, you can see clearly 1600 AD. Okay. Now this, not starting to get dug up until the middle of the 19th century. I keep repeating that just to get it in there. A Nothosaurus reconstruction. I'm sorry, but if people can't see the similarities there, then there's a problem. It's called willful denial. Okay, let's see what we've got here. St. Michael and the Dragon. Where's this? Italy. We've got them in Italy. Oh, look at this. I mean, this is amazing. 14th century. You can see here. And the reconstruction. Ornitholestos reconstruction. Yep. And there's more. There's Mali. Mali again. Ethiopia. Depictions. China. Depictions. And there's lots more in this book. I might do a more in-depth review on this book. So, if you're interested in buying this book, you can get this online. I'm sure if you put it and stick it into Google, Untold or Amazon, Untold Secrets of Planet Earth, Dire Dragons by Vance Nelson. So now we have looked at depictions and historical records around the world concerning man living with dinosaurs and dinosaurs living with man, which oppose the evolutionary worldview, which states dinosaurs and man did not live alongside one another, and dinosaurs lived out in between 60 and 70 million years ago. Now, do we have within the Bible any what we could easily interpret as a historical record or records of or descriptions whereby we could say, well, yeah, we could say, yeah, that seems to be describing what we would today call a dinosaur, or a large terrible lizard, or as they are described throughout the Bible, because the word large terrible lizards, which is the dinosaurs, the Latin describing large terrible lizards, was not penned or used until the middle of the 19th century. So before the middle of the 19th century, the Bible was written between with Moses. At the start, he would have written down the accounts from those who lived before him. So we could say round about between 1600 BC to approximately 400 BC, the Old Testament, and the New Testament between, let's just say, AD 35 maybe up to AD 96. Okay, you could argue a little bit here and there for all of those dates, but I'm not here to give a textual dating criticism or at the moment. So we'll just go with the fact that if we didn't start using the word dinosaur until the middle of the 19th century, just because the word dinosaur is not in the Bible does not mean that dinosaurs are not described in the Bible. They would have used different words for them. So here we have in the book of Job, chapter 40, God speaking to Job about the greatness of God's works, and Job needing to look at God and realise that God is majestically higher in all things than man's thoughts and man's ways. God is describing to Job a creature that Job would have understood, because he would have experienced, he would have lived alongside this creature. And this creature is described as Behemoth. And we read Job chapter 40 verses 15 to 24. Behold, Behemoth, which I made as I made you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength is in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail swift like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs are like bars of iron. He is the first of the works of God. Let him who made him bring near his word. Sword. For the mountains yield food for him where all the wild beasts play. Under the lotus plants he lies. in the shelter of the reeds and in the marsh. For his shade the lotus trees cover him, the willows of the brook surround him. Behold, if the river is turbulent, he is not frightened. He is confident, though Jordan rushes against his mouth. Can one take him by his eyes or peer his nose with a snare? Okay, let's look at Behemoth. Some have said, oh, it could be an elephant. I'm sorry, have you seen the size of an elephant's tail? Clearly, this is describing this creature as having the tail of a cedar. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. Verse 17. Okay, his bones are like bronze. No, the sword can't be used against him. You know, some have said a hippopotamus. You know, same again, tail is tiny. Compare a hippopotamus tail with this, and this is being described as a huge creature and the power of it. You know, the Jordan has no hold upon it. Whatever it is, for me, this easily can be interpreted and is being descriptive of a huge, what we would describe today, dinosaur, large terrible lizard, described back then as dragon. You know, is it sauropod or that kind of huge creature? And here we have another one, Job chapter 41. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose, or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many pleas to you? Will he speak to you soft words? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you put him on a leash for your girls? Will traders bargain over him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hands on him. Remember the battle. You will not do it again. Behold, the hope of a man is false. He is laid low even at the sight of him. No one is so fierce that he dares to stir him up. Who then is he who can stand before him? Who has first given to me that I should repay him? Whoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his godly frame. Who can strip off his outer garment? Who would come near him with a bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? Around his teeth is terror. His back is made of rows of shields, shut up closely as with a seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go flaming torches, sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils come forth smoke, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame comes forth from his mouth, and his neck abides strength, and terror dances before him. The folds of his flesh stick together, firmly cast on him, and immovable. His heart is hard as a stone, hard as the lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid. At the crashing they are beside themselves. Though the sword reaches him, it does not avail, nor the spear, nor the dart, or the javelin. He counts iron as straw, and bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee, for him sling stones are turned to stubble. Clubs are counted as stubble. He laughs at the rattle of javelins. His underparts are like sharp potsherds. He spreads himself like a threshing sledge on the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. Behind him he leaves a shining wake. One would think the deep to be white-haired. On earth there is not his like, a creature without fear. He sees everything that is high. He is king over all the sons of pride. So tell me, no javelin, no spear can tame him, no sword. He has shields over his back. His underbelly is closely guarded with armour. He breathes fire, smoke out of his nostrils and his mouth. To me, if what we are beginning to understand around the world, we're seeing evidence and depictions that dinosaurs did live with man up to our recent past, never mind our distant past, then we clearly have within the Bible a description of what we would call, or anybody would say, yep, they both sound like dinosaurs, large terrible lizards, or described as dragons before that word in the middle of the 19th century came about. It seems to me that we do have evidence, and in the Bible, of dinosaurs living alongside man.